white sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, rock sugar, they're all the same. How many people love sugar? Everybody! Those you might say that I don't love sweet, I have to say you're wrong. All these things contain sugar, even though they might not taste it. What can we choose? How many people love sugar? How many people love sweet? I think the answer is everybody. Everybody loves sugar and sweet of one form and another. Even those you might say that I don't love sweet, I bet you do, because a lot of the food that we eat actually contains natural sugar or artificial sugar or other form of sugar, and we don't even know it. Did you know that a lot of the sauces, like barbecue sauce, we got the hoisin sauce, we have the tomato sauce, all these things contain sugar, even though they might not taste it, but they contain sugar. But I know it's very hard to avoid. And when it comes to sugar, what can we choose? This is Sugar 101, and I want to start with the natural form. And next time, I want to talk about the form that you can eat, but does not raise your blood sugar. I don't need to tell you that people know that white sugar is not the best choice. And what makes white sugar not the best choice is because they simply contain sugar, means that they contain calories. And I often call them empty calories is because they give you calorie, but they don't give you nutrients. This is my motto for choosing food. If I were to eat something, I want to get something out of it. I want to get the value of it. And that's why even when choosing natural sweetener, I want some nutrient out of it. So today I'm going to talk about the natural nutrient that I love to use, that I use in my everyday cooking. And I call them natural sweetener because they exist naturally, but also because they do contain calories and they do contain sugar, and they are what we call high GI or high glycemic index. One of them is my absolute favorite is honey. And people say honey is good for you. Yes, honey is good for you, but quality matters. There's different forms of honey out there. If you were to go into the honey world or the honey store, you'd be surprised that, oh my goodness, there's so many different forms of honey out there. So if we were to choose honey, or if I were to go to choose honey, I only look for raw honey. That means it's unpasteurized, because anything that pasteurized really kills a lot of the nutrient, especially those minerals and those vitamins that are in honey. So when I choose honey, I always go with raw honey. And I always think the sources matter. So when you buy raw honey, it's always best to know where the honey came from. I think that really makes a huge difference. So number one is raw honey. Number two, it's again part of my favorite, and I'm from Canada, and one of the things that we prize ourselves is maple syrup. But it's funny, when you look at maple syrup, there's a lot of different forms of maple syrup. So the one that I'm talking about is 100% maple syrup, because a lot of out there might call syrup, but they're not 100% maple syrup. So do look at the ingredient, look at the label. It has to say 100% maple syrup. And maple syrup do contains obviously sugar, but it also contains some vitamins and minerals. So it does have its own a little bit of the health benefit. But does the sugar offset all those health benefit? Or does the benefit offset all the sugar? And my answer is no. It's simply because I like how it tastes, but I also aware that it does contain sugar and it does contain calorie. So number two is maple syrup. Number three, let's go with the naturalness. I always say when we think about things that are natural, that has sugar, we also want to have things that are high in fiber. These three fruits, that is what I use in my baking all the time, and I love using it because it provides a natural sweetness, but it still gives me the vitamins, minerals, and fiber. And number one is majute date. So this majute dates, anyone who tastes it know how sweet they are, and they are definitely very sweet. So when I use it, I tend to use it in my protein bars, or when I make those bars, or when I make some sort of a base for a healthy cheesecake. Majute date would be something that I definitely go for. So it does contain sugar, but it does contain fiber, and I love that. And aside from majute date, the second one that I like to use is what? Banana! Because when bananas are ripe, they are very sweet. So bananas are great in terms for baking, and my favorite way to use banana is two ways. Number one is muffin. I love to use banana in my muffin because it adds a natural sweetness. It gives it some moisture. That's exactly what I want. And the second way I love to use banana is making ice cream. Yes, ice cream because I often use ripe banana to make ice cream and my kids does not know it's banana. Third that I like to use is called apple because you see a lot of the recipe out there, especially baking recipe, also use applesauce. And I love to use applesauce again because vitamins, minerals, it has sugar, and it has the fiber. So these three fruits are natural sweetener, but it provides the extra punch of fiber. So this is such a great way for you to use it in your baked goods, especially if you have a sweet tooth. But then a lot of people said, what about other sugar? There's one sugar that I don't mention a lot, but every now and then I do use it. It's called molasses. The molasses that I particularly like is the black strap molasses, and they are higher in minerals as well. And most people use it to make what? Ginger cookies, right? And they're great because it provides moisture, sweetness, but also provides you those minerals as well. So these are the, I will call the 6 sweetener that I naturally use, but I always tell people, just because they are natural does not mean you can eat abundance of it because again, portion matters. Last but not least is a lot of Asian people would tell me, what about rock sugar? What about brown sugar? What about cane sugar? How are they compared? And this is what I have to say. If I were to compare these sugar compared to the one that we just talked about, the one that we just talked about is still fares a bit better because they still have fiber, minerals, as well as vitamins, whereas cane sugar, the rock sugar or brown sugar, most people think brown sugar is so much healthier than white sugar. I have to say you're wrong. White sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, rock sugar, they're all the same. It's just different form for making different needs. They're not necessarily one is that much better than another. I know some will argue, but one is natural, one is more processed, one is not. In the end, when you look at the nutrition profile, they're actually exactly the same. It really makes no difference. It depends on your preference. And if you wanted the extra punch of nutrient, then I would suggest using either honey, maple syrup, those fruits like banana, the date, the apple, and the molasses. Those might be a little bit better choice, but as always watch for your portion. So because a lot of people often ask me, Sosan, all these sweeteners sounds great. So do you have a guide? And this is exactly what I created for you. I actually create a sweetener guide from a dietitian. That's me. You can download that reference guide so that you can print it, put it on your refrigerator. So next time when you bake and you cook, you know exactly which sugar is a better choice for you. If you want to get a copy of that, just go to the description, click the link, put your name and email address, and I will send you those guides. And until then, 食得有型，活得健康。我哋下次再見，拜拜。